Look at this channel. These AI-generated ant videos are absolutely taking off right now. And if you've been paying attention, you already know this niche is blowing up. Every creator is jumping in, so let me show you exactly how it's done, step by step. First, you'll need a prompt document. Drop the word prompt in the comments and I'll send it your way. From there, copy the channel analysis prompt, grab a few screenshots of your reference channel, paste everything into Claude and hit enter. Claude will break the channel down in impressive detail. Next, pull the topic ideas prompt from the document, paste it into Claude, and watch it generate a list of genuinely viral-worthy video ideas. Pick the title that feels right, then grab the third prompt. Paste in your chosen idea, set your video duration. I'm going with 3 minutes for this one, and let Claude write your entire script. And trust me, the script it produces is something else. Here's just a taste. The desert had a king, long before the ants built their empire. He moved at night, he hunted alone, 8 legs, 2 claws, a tail that could split stone. The creatures of the dunes feared him the way they feared drought. Silently, completely without question. Incredible, right? And that's just the opening lines. The full script Claude generates is layered, cinematic, and built to hold attention from the very first second, which is exactly what you need on YouTube right now. Now, before we go any further into the production side, I want to take a moment to talk about why this niche is working so well, because understanding that is going to make you a much better creator in this space. What makes these ant videos so addictive isn't just the visuals, although yes, the visuals are stunning. It's the storytelling. These videos tap into something primal. Ants are one of the most fascinating creatures on the planet. They build civilizations, they wage wars, they farm, they sacrifice. They operate with a kind of brutal, mechanical efficiency that almost feels alien. And yet, somehow deeply familiar. When you pair that subject matter with cinematic narration, dramatic music, and high-quality AI visuals, you create something that feels like a nature documentary produced by a Hollywood studio. And people cannot stop watching. The average viewer retention on these videos is insane compared to most other YouTube content. And that's because the format is designed, intentionally or not, to keep the brain engaged at every single level. There's something happening visually. There's something happening narratively. And there's always a sense that the next scene is going to be even more spectacular than the last. So when you're building your channel in this niche, keep that in mind. You're not just making videos unique, you're building an experience. Now let's get back to the production process because we've got a lot of ground to cover. Once Claude has handed you the scene breakdowns using the fourth prompt, you'll want to spend a little time actually reading through them carefully before you move on. This step is one that a lot of creators rush, and it costs them later. Each scene breakdown is essentially a visual blueprint. It tells you what's happening on screen, what emotion it needs to convey, and how it connects to the scene before and after it. If something feels off, if a scene feels too similar to the one before it, or if the pacing seems like it's dragging in a particular section, this is the moment to catch it. You can go back to Claude, flag the issue, and ask it to revise specific scenes. Claude is remarkably good at this kind of iterative editing, and spending 5 or 10 minutes refining your scene list here will save you hours of frustration during the video editing stage. Once your scene list is locked in, use the fifth prompt to generate your image prompts. Now here's something worth understanding about AI image generation that most beginner tutorials gloss over. The quality of your output is almost entirely determined by the quality of your prompt. A vague prompt produces a vague image. A specific, detailed, atmospherically rich prompt produces something that looks like a still from a big-budget film. Claude's image prompts are already quite strong when generated from a well-written script, but you can push them even further. Look at each prompt and ask yourself, does this describe the lighting? Does it describe the mood? Does it describe the camera angle? If the answer to any of those is no, add it. Something as simple as adding low-angle shot, golden hour lighting, shallow depth of field to a prompt can be the difference between a mediocre image and one that stops someone mid-scroll. Take that extra minute on each prompt. It is absolutely worth it. With your image prompts polished and ready, head over to Whisk AI. Paste the prompt for scene 1. Select your aspect ratio. I recommend going widescreen for that cinematic feel. And generate. Whisk will give you 2 output options. Download the one that best matches your vision and move on to scene 2. Now, as you're going through this process, I want you to keep a simple folder system on your desktop. Create a folder for your project and inside it, create 3 subfolders. 1 for images, 1 for videos, and 1 for audio. Label everything by scene number as you go. Scene 1 image, scene 1 video, and so on. This sounds almost too simple to mention, but when you're managing 30+ assets across 3 different AI tools, the last thing you want is to be hunting through your downloads folder, trying to figure out which file is which. A little organization upfront saves you a massive headache later, and it also makes the editing process dramatically faster. Once all your images are generated and organized, it's time to animate them in Google Flow. This is honestly one of the most satisfying parts of the entire process, because this is where your still images come alive. Open Flow, pull up the video prompt for scene 1 from Claude, adjust your settings. I like to keep the motion intensity moderate so the animation feels natural rather than chaotic. Paste your prompt, upload the corresponding image, and hit generate. What Flow produces is genuinely impressive. The camera moves feel real. The motion feels intentional. And when you string all the clips together, it doesn't look like AI-generated content. It looks like something that took a full production team weeks to create. And you made it in an afternoon. Repeat this process for every scene, downloading each clip and dropping it into your video's subfolder as you go. By the time you're done, you'll have a complete visual story ready to be assembled. Now let's talk about the editing stage in a bit more detail, because this is where the magic truly comes together. And also where a lot of first-time creators in this niche make mistakes that hold their videos back. Open CapCut, create a new project, and import everything. Your voiceover, all your video clips, and any music you plan to use. Start by placing your voiceover on the timeline first. Always build around the audio, not the other way around. Your voiceover is the spine of the video. Everything else exists to support it. Once the voiceover is on the timeline, start laying in your video clips one by one, matching the visual to what's being said in the narration. You want the images to illustrate the story, not contradict it. If the narration is talking about the ant colony moving through darkness, you don't want a bright, sunlit image on screen. That kind of mismatch pulls the viewer out of the experience instantly. Pay close attention to your clip lengths. Each clip should feel like it has just enough time to land before the next one takes over. Too short and it feels frantic and unpolished. Too long and the viewer's eye starts to wander. A good rule of thumb for this style of video is somewhere between 4 and 8 seconds per clip, depending on how much motion is in the animation. Clips with more movement can hold the screen a little longer. Static or slower clips should cut sooner. As you're editing, also think about pacing in terms of the overall arc of the video. The opening should feel urgent and gripping. The middle can breathe a little more as you build the world and deepen the story. And the ending should feel earned, dramatic, conclusive, and memorable. If you can make someone feel something in the last 30 seconds of your video, they will comment, they will share, and they will come back for the next one. For music, I highly recommend using tracks from YouTube's free audio library or a platform like Pixabay Music, where everything is royalty-free and safe to use on YouTube without any copyright issues. Choose something that matches the mood of your script. For ant and nature content, orchestral tracks with building tension work incredibly well. Keep the music volume low enough that it never competes with the voiceover. It should sit underneath the narration like a current, felt more than heard, but absolutely essential to the overall atmosphere. Add the music to your timeline, fade it in at the start and fade it out at the end. And you'll be amazed at how much more cinematic and polished your video instantly feels. One more thing before you export. Subtitles. Adding auto-generated captions to your video is one of the single highest impact things you can do for your watch time and accessibility. CapCut has a built-in auto caption feature that works really well. Turn it on, clean up any errors it makes, style the text so it's clean and readable. White text with a subtle black outline usually works best, and make sure the captions are always visible against whatever is on screen behind them. A significant portion of people on YouTube watch videos with the sound off, especially in the early seconds when they're deciding whether to keep watching. Captions give those viewers a reason to stay, and staying is exactly what you want them to do. Once everything is assembled, your music is in, your captions are clean, and you've scaled up all your clips slightly to remove the VO watermark. Export the video at the highest resolution possible, ideally 1080p or higher, and upload it to YouTube. Write a compelling title, craft a thumbnail that's bold and visually striking, and in your description, make sure you include relevant keywords naturally so the algorithm knows exactly who to show your video to. And that, from start to finish, is the complete process for creating the kind of cinematic, viral AI ant videos that are dominating YouTube right now. What I love most about this workflow is how scalable it is. Once you've done it once, you can do it again in a fraction of the time. You start to build instincts for which prompts to tweak, which scenes need more drama, which visuals are going to land, and which ones won't. You get faster, and more importantly, you get better. The creators who are winning in this niche right now aren't necessarily the ones with the most expensive tools or the most technical knowledge. They're the ones who are consistent, who care about the quality of their storytelling, and who keep showing up. If you can do that, there is absolutely no ceiling on what you can build here. If this video helped you, hit like, subscribe, and check out my other videos where I break down more viral niches using AI tools just like these. I'll see you in the next one.
The desert had a king long before the ants built their empire. He moved at night. He hunted alone. 8 legs, 2 claws, a tail that could split stone. The creatures of the dunes feared him the way they feared drought, silently, completely, without question. His name was never given. Names are for those who can be challenged. He simply was. And for 3,000 seasons, no army had dared enter his territory. The Black Colony knew this. Their generals knew this. Every scout who had ventured past the Crimson Ridge came back with the same report. Bones at the entrance, silence beyond it, and a smell like something ancient and burning in the air. They built their empire around him, cities of black stone and packed sand, tunnels deep enough to swallow rivers, walls that had held against every enemy the desert had ever sent. Every enemy except one. It began with the tremors. 3 nights before the first attack, the ground beneath the eastern wall began to shake. Not the rolling shudder of a sandstorm, but something rhythmic, something deliberate, like footsteps, like something massive circling the city and measuring it.